He
Anyway,
took me by the hand and made me a man. That one night.
that one night.
You, I can't. No, I can't. Hey everyone, welcome back to TV Guys. We got a special episode today where we have the most people we've ever had in our podcast, 5 at once. And so Brian has agreed, so that we're not all talking over each other, that he's going to be mute for the entire time and just use visual gags to communicate. So I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
You broke it.
Tricia. I'm Angie.
And I'm Jeff.
And these are 3 wonderful guests. I love them all. Some of them a little bit more than others because I'm married to one of them. And so we've had Angie and Tricia on before for our Friends episode. We've had Jeff on before twice for Star Wars episodes. But today we're talking about The Office because everyone loves The Office. And we are on seasons 4 and 5. Guys, which is better, season 4 or season 5?
Season 5.
Agreed.
I'll say 4, but it's close.
Oh,
There's some great episodes in 4. There really are. But 5 is longer, more cohesive.
Didn't have a writer's strike in the middle of it.
Didn't have a writer's strike in it. That's right.
Yeah. Longer isn't always better.
Yeah.
But in this case, it is.
In season 4, like the first couple of episodes of all of them being an hour, it made me realize like why this show is a half hour. It didn't work all the time. Like the very first episode of Fun Run, like there was the one scene when they're talking about like, oh, we should, who did we upset? What God did we upset? And is there some sort of sacrifice we can do? Like the whole scene that Michael does, I'm like, none of this is funny. This
That
is
scene
just
was dumb.
filler.
I think Fun Run for the most part worked as an hour. I think Dunder Mifflin Infinity and Launch Party could be combined into one.
And money.
I think money could just be condensed down to a half hour.
Yes, agreed. All right. Well, we are going to do what we did last time. So we are going through seasons, like I said, 4 and 5. Last time that we did this, we had a couple different categories, and we asked all of our guests to weigh in on these categories. And so we all have our answers prepared. We're going to talk about what are the best storylines, the worst storylines of each season, what is the best cold open, what are the best and worst episodes, and then what is the best, most memeable or most gifable moment. Because let's be honest, we all use Office gifs all the time, Office memes nonstop. That's like 90% of my communication. Angie asked me to tell her I love her, and I send her a gif of The Office, and that's how I communicate. So we do that.
Yeah, it's so romantic.
It is, see? And you could tell that she was 100% sincere about that.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, let's just jump into it. Let's jump into a season 4. We're going to start off, let's do best cold opening to season 4. I'm one that I would say, I don't think season 4 had very good cold opens.
They didn't.
There's 2 that are in contention, I think. It's got to be either the very beginning, Michael hitting Meredith with his car, or the TV square where they're watching it go in the corner.
Yep. Those were my 2.
Nice.
And I decided only because Meredith getting hit with the car was an obvious one. So I went with the cube hitting the screen because I've always wanted to see it hit the corner. So that was my pick.
Yeah. I had 2 for this because they're just so different. But I like the cube one because being a person that has been in an office setting for many years, I can appreciate that. It is like the most realistic cold opening that they have ever had, I think. And I find it hilarious. And the way that they all just stand up once it hits the corner, like, we're done here. And Michael's just like, all right, let's stop while we're ahead. Like,
yeah,
just
but
goes
he's
with it.
So
funny.
unaware of what they're really cheering about, which makes it so true to his character. He's out of touch.
Mm.
The things that the writers do really well with The Office is when they can find those moments that like actually would exist in a real office too. The things that people get excited about. If people had the speed limit sign outside of their office, you can bet that they would take a couple hours to go outside, have everyone run by it and see who could do the fastest time. That would be 100% an office thing that they would do on just a random Thursday.
But you might not think of doing that. It might not have crossed your mind until you saw that Office episode.
Possibly, yeah. But what was the other one you said, Ange?
The other one I really liked was from episode 18, the one where Jim pairs his headset to Dwight's. That one gave me the most laugh out of any of the other openers.
Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah, that was
agrees.
good.
Sure, and yeah.
No, it was
so
good.
funny.
It was good. I would say most cold opens, at least like I smiled or like kind of got a slight chuckle, one of the two, but there was very few that made me laugh. And I wouldn't even say the cube one made me like laugh, but it's just I'm very amused by it because it is a very real,
Relatable,
office
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yep. What'd you have, Tricia?
I think it's so funny how relatable it actually is. I don't know. But I put that one too because I was like, it's so satisfying when you see it right up in there.
Really.
Like,
For
get
the-
in there.
For the record, I have seen it hit the corner before. So
Lies.
Really?
Yeah.
nobody believes
Really?
me. I feel like
Really?
You shouldn't
Pam.
say that.
And that's a great part of it too, the Jim Pam thing where it's like Pam says she saw it. I don't know. Like
I believe she thinks she saw
telling
it.
you that
Yeah.
See it?
Exactly.
because until you see it for yourself, you don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
All right,
so
we
funny.
Brian, you did mention the other cold open that I had, Meredith getting hit by the car, and that's good in terms of like it's setting up season 4 right away, letting you know where everyone's at and what that episode's going to be about, and it catches you by surprise for that to happen. And it's actually the humor of it is more after the break, after the intro and the fallout of her getting hit by the car. But you know, it's a good opening to the season to get like, okay, we're back in. I'm ready for this, etc. So that's why I put it on. All right. Well, let's do the best storyline of the season. Who wants to go first? Best storyline
Of 4?
of 4. Yep.
I'm gonna say Hall. I don't know if this qualifies as a storyline because I couldn't remember how many episodes it was actually they wrote this, but Holly thinking Kevin was mentally challenged was
Yes.
and Kevin doing nothing but confirming those things
Yeah.
was amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's see. What do you have here for Get Vending Machine? This is a
Literally.
button.
Yeah.
25 cents.
I'm totally going to bang Holly. It's awesome.
She is nice and helpful.
I remember the first time I watched that, I was like, that is genius. He doesn't
Yeah.
even have to change anything, and it totally works.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was brilliant. I love
Oh
that.
man,
Oh
so good.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, and like I put that as well because that was just so funny. And even though that's a little bit of cheating, 'cause it is only season 4, and then the opening episode is season 5, so it's half and a half of the season. It still was just so good. It was one of my favorite things that they did, and I'm like, they should have
Mhm.
kept this going a little bit longer.
It's
Oh,
one of the
man.
best that they did in the entire series.
I would agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would agree.
So actually something that was a little bit longer, throughout the season, which was Michael's relationships, because we have Jan predominantly, and you see the train wreck that is, and you see
Ooh.
Michael, who is always willing to do whatever he needs to do to be accepted by people, like actually rejecting a love interest because she's so destructive. But then you see that happen and you kind of feel sorry for him, but by the end you're like, and there's Holly, and you just know that she's the one. And I
Mhm.
love that introduction to Holly, where
Yeah.
you see somebody that would actually fit him just so well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Hollywood is another one that it goes between the seasons because it starts in 4 and ends in 5 the first time. And we get to kind of experience it kind of through Jim because at first Jim is watching it as a train wreck, like, oh my gosh, Michael's going to go, too fast and ruin this. And then early season 5, Jim has realization like, oh, Holly's also kind of a dork. Maybe this could work.
She's kind of a dork. Yeah.
I like what they did with Jim in it too, where at first his advice is really good, and then you start to see like, wait, actually Holly's into Michael, and Jim's advice actually could be a detriment, that maybe this is a just go for it moment.
Mhm.
And so it was good to see like the weakness of how Jim pursued Pam, and just not as very not very pursuing, I guess.
Pursuing.
That's the word we're going to go with, pursuing.
Well, Holly wasn't engaged, so
That's true.
didn't have that time
True.
factor.
Yeah. But season 4, we also hit the depths of Michael's desperation because I think had the episode where he has everyone write down the names of women he could call on for a date, and he ends up being obsessed with a chair model.
Yeah. Wendy, that was my favorite. Hot and juicy redhead.
I liked Phyllis's friend. Well, can she fit in a rowboat?
Yeah. No.
What are you
she
asking
didn't fit
me?
Roma.
I think I'm being
I
very
think I'm
clear
being
about
very
it.
clear.
No. So
No,
Oh,
right?
that
She
is
can't
really
fit in a
good.
rowboat.
All right, Tricia, what do you have for best storyline for season 4?
I took one episode by itself, and it's when Pam and Jim go to Dwight's farm for their Airbnb, or
That was before that existed. The bed and breakfast, yeah.
bed and
Yes.
breakfast. Yes, that one.
Yeah.
There's a bed.
I just think it's
They give
so
'em
freaking
breakfast.
great. It's wireless. He
Once
took
we
all
find
the wires.
once we
Yes.
find those wires, we'll be back up and running.
Yes, and then him crying in the middle of the night, like,
Oh yeah.
oh, I just
He's
think
like,
it's
must
so
be Moe's. Oh, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yes, ever since the storm.
And then when and then when Pam looks out the window and it's Moe's in the outhouse,
Oh, dude,
and
it's
the
so
door's
good.
just flapping.
What century is this?
Oh, it's
And
so
it's
funny.
impressive that Rainn Wilson made his crying both like sad and emotional and hilarious at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
That's good.
yeah.
All right. Which episode was that? Because that was early on.
Wasn't that money? That was like the
Yeah, it's money.
That
I think
was
it's
money.
Yeah, that's money.
Which
Oh,
again, they
that's-
don't-
It's like them by themselves, and then
That's weird because I know I'm jumping ahead of this, and we'll get to it in a second. But money is in the running for worst episode to me. Yeah, I did enjoy that arc. I just hated all the other Jan stuff in it. Anyway, worst storyline.
Wait, I haven't done mine yet.
No, we don't care. Worst.
Okay.
No. Go ahead, Brian.
I liked Michael's interaction or Michael's dynamic with Ryan being in corporate, and suddenly Ryan being his boss when he thought of Ryan as like his protege a season earlier, and having to like still come to terms with, oh yeah, Ryan and I we're still best friends, except Ryan makes it very clear that they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Angie brought up a good point
Yes.
when we watched the one where they go to New York, and he like is on drugs at that point, so he's excited to see Michael, and where like Steve Carell like
Mhm.
does this great face that he has where it's like this recognition that like, oh wait a second, he actually wants to see me here,
Right.
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
get to see that Michael doesn't even believe his own lies.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I stole that from you, Ange.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and he's not only that, he's not only excited to see Michael, he's excited to see Dwight.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's true.
This guy owns a beet farm.
And his hobbit friend.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
The deleted scenes they do a lot more with that character, and like Dwight constantly like referring to making these Middle Earth jokes to him, and even
Mhm.
apparently that he's an employee of Dunder Mifflin Corporate, so that he stops into the Scranton branch the episode after, or in the season finale when they're not able to get a hold of Ryan, and he ends up coming in to fill in for Ryan for like a little bit. It was I didn't even realize that that's what they're going for. That he was a work accomplice.
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 I guess in Ryan's case that might be true. I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows?
He did commit a felony.
And he still
Guys,
managed
if
to
you're
be
on-
in Thrillable Midnight.
Guys, if you're out
Yeah.
there and you're single, find a woman who will judge every word choice that you use. Do that. All right, worst storyline.
Thanks.
Jeez. Eesh.
Worst story. By the way, Angie and I are gonna try and treat this like dinner party, and we're gonna just steadily go off the
Thank you
chain.
for making
Go
me
off
Sorry,
the
laugh. I
rails.
babe.
appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, babe.
Babe.
Your turn, babe.
Moving on.
All right, this is a good segue. Talk about Ryan. The worst storyline for me was Ryan versus Jim specifically. There was a little bit I didn't like about Ryan just in his dynamic, but really when he went after Jim, I get that you need that conflict, but I'm a Jim apologist. I love Jim so much, and so for any time that you're putting Jim on the underdog position, I don't like it. Didn't like it with Charles Minor. Didn't like that one episode when Dwight was like getting him with the snowball, like getting the best advantage
Well, I
of him.
loved that.
And I definitely didn't like Ryan versus Jim. So that was my worst
It also
storyline.
came out of nowhere. Michael or Ryan and Jim weren't super best friends beforehand, but there wasn't that animosity beforehand where like Ryan now has his power trip. Like that would make more sense if that was the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I guess maybe if anything, it just shows the true nature of his heart and how he felt about Jim. But because he was an underling before,
Mm-hmm.
he couldn't really do anything. Jim had seniority over him. I would say anything. There's no storyline that I legit hate in the show until we get to season 9, but we're not talking about season 9. So, and there's a couple in season 9 that I hated. But for me, it was more like a love to hate, just the Ryan dynamic of him being in leadership. It was just one of those like, it's supposed to annoy you, and it definitely does its job for me. So yeah.
Oh man, Ryan is so punchable.
Yes.
For me, it was Angela and Andy because
Oh, me too.
I think that went on way
Okay.
too long.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, that's a good one.
Go ahead, Angie.
Well, and to me, it's like as you watch throughout the series, it's so forgettable.
Yeah.
Like they literally, you come to a place in it where you're just like, oh yeah, that feels so distant because it wasn't any sort of a juicy storyline whatsoever. It was, the point was just for Dwight to see how Dwight handles this all.
Yeah.
And I just could have done without it. But
Well-
I will say I do like what it produced in terms of like how the guys end up being like best friends
Yeah.
after the duel. I appreciated that, but otherwise the whole Angela, like they never gave any sort of sense of why Andy would actually like Angela.
Mm-hmm.
They really didn't, and I need a little bit of
She
that.
was alive.
Well, she was
True.
there. Now, honestly, I've met some people who dated people just because. So it was more the fact that she was available, and he's obviously a guy who's dealt with a lot of rejection in his life. So.
Yes.
And he really didn't find himself until the last episode of the series,
No,
to be fair.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
he was just that blank page that was like, you tell me who I am and I will respond to you in that way.
Well, and Andy was just kind of like the detour, is what I call it, like on the way to Dwight and Angela, kind of like Roy was or Karen was to Jim and Pam. But the thing is, with Roy and Karen, they both left. Andy stayed, which made it even more weird.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and weirdness did ensue after
Mm-hmm.
many times with him. So.
I like when they're introduced, like meeting Charles, and then Charles is like meeting the accounting staff, and so she's talking about like, oh, I slept with him over there, and then shows Andy go, "Ew!"
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I'm going to go on a mini Andy rant here. So, very beginning of season 4, they show the flashback to Karen still being there, and then how she's yelling at Jim, and then they jump right to a talking head where you can see that desk by Stanley and Phyllis where Karen was completely empty, and then it jumps to a different talking head, and all of a sudden that same desk is like set up as if someone's working there, and the very next scene, Andy is sitting there when Michael is coming in to tell everybody he ran over Meredith. It's like a whole progression of that desk like moving to being Andy sitting there, and they never address it. And I wrote a whole long email to the office ladies detailing this, and they never mentioned it. I listened as like, oh, cool. They got to mention my email. I went in so much detail, and they never did.
They're like, wow, this guy has too much time on his hands.
You know who else goes into too much detail on long emails to random strangers? Terrorists. Those are the ones.
Or
All right, Tricia, what was the worst storyline?
For me, for me, it was also Ryan as a boss. He's such a douche, and you're like, man,
Yeah, he's
I want to punch you in the throat, like stuff like that. Like he's just mean, and like it has to be the like I'm the queen of everything, you know, like
the queen of everything.
I said what I said.
I ain't taking it back.
See, the reason it kind of worked for me because it was only in one season. We didn't have to deal with it that long, and at the end of the
Sure.
season, Ryan got his comeuppance.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, he did.
And honestly, I just don't like Ryan ever. In general,
You're not supposed
Are you
to.
talking about
though.
the guy or the character?
the character.
Okay.
I just don't like him at all.
Okay.
So
He
Fair
was
enough.
fine in season 2 and 3 when he wasn't as big as he was, when he was still kind of the audience surrogate in some ways. Because he started off season 1 that way, and then season 2 and 3 he started getting his own flavor.
Well,
and
that's the same with Andy, though. I mean, you
I,
can
I
tell.
also don't like Andy. I mean,
Well, you can tell when he became
I
like,
know.
you know, a bigger star because
Got
like
another one.
suddenly he had like a more of a cockiness to his character
Mhm.
than ever before.
I didn't like Steve Carell in season 1 either. I was like, I can
Season 1
watch
is in.
this
I
show.
skipped season 1.
I
Yeah.
did too.
You
I
can't
haven't-
hold it
I haven't
against
seen
it.
it. Well, I've seen it like twice or 3 times, but I would say in the past couple of years, my wife and I skip it. We don't even.
It's kind of like like if your spouse has like a sketchy past, it's like we just don't talk about that. Like, no, we've moved on.
That's the opposite.
which I don't. I'm great.
We talked about it last time, but there's so much good in season 1 that there's so many great moments that we talked about the last time we talked about season 1, 2, and 3 with Paul and Dan.
Hmm.
Yeah. So listen to that. There's the plug. Listen to that episode if you haven't listened to it yet. You're listening to this one. You clearly like The Office.
Yep.
See, go listen to 1 through 3. There's some good stuff in there.
And then
sure.
listen to our next one's coming up in a few weeks either too.
Absolutely. Some of our other favorite guests are coming back. We've got a lot of guests that we love, and so it's gonna be awesome to just keep the ball rolling.
But we're the favorites.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep. I can say with certainty because I'm married to one of you. Like I said.
Yeah, you better.
I sent out a
Welcome, guys,
mass.
bringing up our average.
I sent out a massive text to all of our guests basically and said like, "Hey, who wants to do this Office thing?" And everybody said yes.
Yeah, well,
Everyone.
it's The Office.
Was
Come
it
on.
Dan who reached out to Brian Baumgartner?
Yeah, he did.
He
Yeah.
didn't say yes.
No,
he
he
ignored it.
didn't. But
be
our
on
guest on this
episode.
podcast.
You guys should do a New Girl one. Oh, I love New Girl.
New
We've done a
is
couple episodes
fantastic.
on New Girl already.
Yes.
We have, yeah. We should do more on it because New Girl is just such a great show.
It is a good
All right,
show.
we did that best episode. Let's do worst episode first. Let's go negative, and then we'll do best episode after that.
Okay.
Season 4, worst episode.
Survivor Man.
Survivor Man. Yep.
Because it did nothing for me. Like, it wasn't very entertaining. Also, it wasn't really satisfying in any part of it because you also had a negative storyline with Jim, like trying to combine all the birthdays. And so it's like
yeah.
a negative light on Jim. And, you see this like pathetic man in the woods. And it just wasn't that great. It wasn't that funny. I feel like I don't have a lot of things where I pull it out and say like a quote. It was just,
Yeah.
it was very missable.
I will
whole
say the
thing-
one takeaway for me with Survivor Man was the way that Michael sings Happy Birthday.
Yeah.
So much so that that's how when we're singing in a group, that's how we sing Happy Birthday.
Oh no!
In
Yeah,
that
so
in
that's-
that moment, Michael became one of my uncles. That's how he does that.
I also liked his commitment to surprise parties too. And that little super cut of those.
Then Toby
Yeah.
like, yeah, Michael scheduled my party at 4:59 on a Friday. And then Jim is super annoyed, like, yeah, Toby, I'll throw your party in.
It's a cake, Toby.
Mhm. Yeah, for me, it was chair model. For some reason, let me preface, I don't hate the episode, but it's just always been one of those that I'm like, yeah, I get a couple of laughs, but I've never really, me personally, just it's not really memorable for me.
Agreed.
Michael and Dwight singing at the end made it
That's
just
pretty
made
good.
up for it, I will say.
Yeah.
No, I like I said, I like the rowboat comment with Phyllis, and everything else apart from that wasn't my deal. I'm agreeing with Survivor Man, though. Survivor Man was also one of my worst. I did also put Money, but now thinking about, I think Money just has more of a bad taste because it was an hour-long episode and it could have been 30 minutes. And if Survivor Man would have been stretched into an hour, it really wouldn't be, because it's one of those,
Yeah.
the premise of it to me wasn't great. If you don't buy into the premise, you don't buy into the bit. And so
Yeah, I'll say those hour-long episodes, though, they felt different when you're watching them live on TV. So you had the commercial breaks, and I was on a YWAM base at the time, and so we would all pack into a house, and we would all sit there and watch. So I just remember being so stoked that they were hour-long episodes, and then you're in good company with other people, and everybody's laughing. So I have fond memories of those. So I don't know. I don't mind the hour-long episodes, but a lot of that I think is emotional attachment to those memories.
I
I
also
remember
like
being in my dorm at North Central on the opening on Fun Run episode, and then when they showed right before the commercial break of Jim and Pam kissed, and they caught him on camera, I hear down the hallway screaming and people rejoicing. I'm like, oh, other people are watching this too. All right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Season 4 was the first season I watched live because I remember
Same.
I was
Me
I
too.
was watching the Emmys with some friends, and it was like my sister and some friends, and everyone was talking about The Office. And I was like, I should watch this show. And so then I think I caught up on the DVDs, and then so like the first time I got to watch it live, it's an hour-long episode, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I never watched it live. I thought The Office is dumb.
We had to teach Tricia the beauty of The Office.
Yeah.
So she's a convert.
Yeah. We sat her down, did a presentation, talked about how hot Hilary Swank is, or how not hot she is. One of those.
Season 4 of The Office was also season 4 of Lost the
Not
same
hot.
year, and that was also the first year I watched that live as well. So it was a good year for me finding good TV.
Yeah. I
Hey,
love that.
by the way, speaking of Lost, happy anniversary to the flight of 815. Okay, you guys listening to this out
18
there, it's not going to
years.
be that. Yeah, 18 years. Today
Jeez
was the
Louise.
pilot
Oh
of
my
Lost.
gosh. 18 years? What?
Never
I
watched
know.
that.
Jeff, I can't tell if you are like sad that he knows that.
No,
Or,
I
like,
can't believe it's been
agree.
that long. I can't believe it's been that long. That's it's crazy.
Jeff, how did you think Lost ended good, or were you disappointed by the ending?
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. What are we talking
Man,
about?
why you're asking the talker? As time has gone, no, but no, not really. I think it went on like a couple seasons too long, to be completely honest. But that's a whole nother topic.
All right, so
Yeah.
guys, go ahead and write your angry letters to him. Jeff, what's your email address? I don't know how many Lost fans we have in there. I know we've got a couple, but all right. Do we get everyone for worst episode? I think so. We didn't get everyone for worst episode. Tricia, what is the worst episode?
It was the launch party, in my humble opinion. The whole kidnapping the kid. It just wasn't really funny, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember laughing during that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Although, the kid who got kidnapped played the kid in the wheelchair on Glee, and then later on, Michael said that was his favorite character on Glee.
The invalid.
Oh,
actually, is
funny,
how he refers to
Yeah.
him as.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I forgot
True.
about that when they're watching that. That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that anyone wanted to add about that episode? We just kind of skipped over launch party. Does anyone want to fight Tricia about that?
No,
No,
not
like
really.
I said, that could have been
Alright.
combined with Dinner Mifflin Infinity.
Yeah, there wasn't a good. I thought the best storyline out of that episode was Dwight fighting the computer. Trying to
Oh,
be-
yeah.
Yes,
That was
good.
really good.
And Angela just coming over and taking the air horn away. It's like, no.
That was good. The actual party itself and Ryan's stuff, and then even Michael trying to drive to New York with Jim. None of that was super great.
No.
All right, but that leads us to best episodes. Some of the best episodes of The Office in its entirety are in season 4. And
Dinner
there are
Party.
2 big ones. That's it.
Dinner Party,
is
hands
one.
down.
100%.
Dinner
Yeah.
Party.
It's
Can
just
you
a
believe there are
classic.
people who don't like Dinner Party?
I can't. Look
We
at
have-
the TV. He splurged. It can even make extra room.
Good luck paying me back on your $0 a year plus benefits, babe.
Yeah.
Even like the little moments, like everyone reacting to the video camera set up in the bedroom.
Yeah,
I
I
know,
actually even
yes.
pulled a quote the other day to my wife. I was eating something and she said I was chewing too loud. I said, "How could you say that? You know I have sensitive teeth."
Was it sensitive or was it soft teeth?
Or whatever.
Yeah,
it
either
says.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
That's probably the thing that you quote the most from that episode. I feel like.
It's well that no, that's
You
what I
have
quote
any
from that.
idea?
The physical toll that 3 vasectomies have on a person.
And we get, Hunter's amazing love song.
Oh my
Oh, yeah.
gosh. It is so
Oh.
great.
I love that they steal that so much.
I also at NCU about a week after that aired, I get into an elevator with another guy, and then he pulls out his phone, and that song starts playing, and he walks up to
No.
me and just slowly gives me a hug.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. Did
That's-
you know this person?
Is this somebody
Yes.
that we know?
Yeah, well, not that we know or have had on this episode, but you might know him.
Okay.
His name is also Matt, so nice little Matt moment.
Okay.
Mm.
Fun fact, Angie and I have when we went to go see Avatar in theaters, Nicholas DeAugusto, the guy who played Hunter, was in that theater.
Yeah.
We saw him about 5 or 6 rows ahead of us, and like he had like some of his friends that like you could tell they're like, I'm so
we're-
cool that
we're
I'm with a
cool.
celebrity guy.
He has nerdy friends, so
Yeah.
I'm going to
Mhm.
see Avatar re-release of Avatar on Saturday.
nice.
IMAX 3D, and I'm very excited because I am. Okay.
I did not like Avatar.
Really?
No, I did not like
Wow.
it.
It's kind of the same movie as Pocahontas a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't even care anymore, dude. I just think it's great.
You're
I love the
precious.
design.
You're fresh.
I'm precious.
that
I've
your
never been called
response?
precious.
What's
don't
great
know.
about Tricia is that out of the mouth of anyone else, that would be like condescending, but Tricia actually like means that.
Mm,
Boop.
okay.
There you go.
Well,
Jeff, can you
also-
put your name on here to Precious?
Going
Yeah.
back to the dinner party, like at some point Dwight's got to get into the mix, and then when he shows up with his babysitter girlfriend, and then Pam's just like, awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Wait, can I get your
With
email?
this 2-1 class.
What's an email?
I like how she just says email.
I feel like this episode is almost like perfect. Like there's not like a weak spot to it. Like from the very beginning of how Michael tricks them.
Right. That was a pretty good
coming-
cold open.
Yes.
And then
Uh-huh.
going into like the tour of the house and how ridiculous it is. And it just like keeps amping up. And I love like when they're playing the games and like how bad Michael is at it. And so then him having Angela and Jim on his team where Jim just is like, I know you're cheating, so I'm not going to give you the satisfaction. And Angela legitimately doesn't know any of these people.
Yeah.
The dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The only thing missing is like the fact that everyone else in the office is in like 1 minute at the beginning.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
They have other moments, They have other
Yeah.
moments.
This episode would be it probably easily be in my probably top 5, if not my like maybe number 2 or something.
Yeah. It's just the cringe is strong with that episode too. So.
But it's never
it's a
too
good
cringy. Yeah.
cringe.
yeah, no,
It is a
absolutely.
good
It's laugh out
cringe.
loud.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love
It's like
how-
Scott's Tots for me too, where it like I
Oh,
just
that's
no,
cringe city. That's like
that's not laugh out loud.
That's
You
terrible.
had
It
me,
is,
and then
because
you
it's
lost
so
me.
cringe.
it's so cringy.
It's like if you did like the top 3 cringe moments of The Office, 2 of them would be out of Scott's Tots, and one of them would be the Carol proposal to me.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was bad too.
But with
Yeah.
the dinner party, I think it's so funny how Pam is so freaking hungry and how Jan's like, oh, this will be great to cook with. It's going to be 150 hours, but totally fine.
They don't even.
And then when they
begin
finally
eating
get
till
the
midnight.
food out, like she can't even eat it. I know Jan didn't poison the food. I know that. But
Yeah.
if she was going to poison someone here at
It'd
the
be
table, it'd be
me.
me, Michael's ex-lover.
Yeah.
Was this the height of Jan's craziness, or was that the baby shower, you think?
Oh,
I
I think this one, in terms of their dynamic, I think you really, when
This
we
is the
actually
height.
watched it, like, real version, like real time, you're like, holy crap, she is insane. I mean,
Yeah.
you see the wall decor, you see how she took
Mhm.
over everything in Michael's house. Like,
Mhm.
you really felt that. And then so later on, you're like, oh, so she's crazy on her own too, when with the baby shower.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, you just aren't as exposed to it after that. It's like at that point you have seen the crazy and
yeah, I
nothing
mean
else
that was the
really
full
surprises you.
revelation of her crazy.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So I think everything else after that is supplemental.
Yeah.
Speaking of the baby shower, though, I love that, like, the extra part they don't show when Kevin is like, where'd you go for that? Because is it over here? Like, if you want another child, just
Yeah.
ask
Oh,
me
yeah.
personally. I can help you out with that. Oh my gosh, that's my favorite.
Like, I donate
blooper
there all the
ever.
time type of
Yeah.
thing. Oh, okay.
It's so funny. I didn't say, well, I love that part. I saved it
that
just
would
so I can
that
laugh.
would really make you stressed out if you're Jan.
Her face.
I told Michael to mark the baby with the Sharpie so that he knows who the baby is. Otherwise, they could swap it and it could be anyone's baby except for Michael's.
Yeah.
Maybe Kevin's, though.
All right.
I have a different.
Yeah,
favorite
exactly.
episode.
We said there was 2. So what's the other one?
Okay, mine is Goodbye Toby.
Yep.
That
I
was
was a good
my
one.
second one. That was my
Love
second one.
it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I actually like it more than I like Dinner Party. I mean,
Ooh.
it's close, but I decided that
Why?
between the Kevin being slow and Jim gonna propose, but then he gets beat to it,
Mhm.
and the Goodbye Toby, it was all just beautifully put together, and it
Mhm.
was hilarious. So many laugh out loud moments.
And you got the end
just
stinger with
regret it.
Phyllis walking in on Angela and Dwight in the office.
Yeah, there were a lot of
Mhm.
elements to that kind of progress the story forward.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
It was really smart for the writers too when they're introducing Holly to then have a conflict for Michael so that when he can't completely unleash on Toby, he still has to have decorum. And so how does he get that satisfaction he's been waiting for so long while Holly's still present
Yeah.
and around?
I actually, when I left one of my jobs, my friend that worked there. We were both big Office fans, and he gave me a wrapped rock that said "Suck on this" as a goodbye present. I still have it.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
sweet.
That's great.
Michael. What? Why say Michael? This isn't me. That's not my handwriting. Man, that is a great episode, and you're right. Holly being introduced is just a game changer.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's a big event episode where they have the whole setup in the parking lot and everything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Phyllis did good.
I even like that.
Well, that set that
storyline.
dynamic up too, where in the next season, how they will be at odds with each other, Angela and Phyllis, and with keeping the secret and everything.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
Actually, just 2 days ago, I was listening to an interview with Craig Robinson, who plays Daryl, and he was talking about his band playing in Goodbye Toby, and how that was his actual band. Like, with one of the guys was his brother, and how some of that stuff they just kind of improvised, and they were told last minute, "Oh, play this song." Okay, cool, and it's kind of a cool experience for him.
Oh wow.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, let's hit the last topic here. The most memeable, most gifable moment from the season. We'll jump into season 5 after that.
I think there's 2 options. So why don't you guys see what you think? I'm sure you'll have to mention them.
Angie took mine. She's let me know ahead of time what she's going
Did
to
you
pick.
say most memorable?
Most memeable.
memeable. I actually
You
originally
said
thought it was
you said
memorable.
memorable.
Yeah, I
Nope,
thought you
it's
said
memeable.
memorable.
Yeah, I
gotta
don't
look
have
it up.
this.
I gotta look this up.
Well, honestly, guys, you might be like, no, I disagree, because the one that I
Oh, it does say
chose
memeable.
was, I'm not superstitious, I'm just a little stitious.
Oh, I love that one.
That's a good one. I feel like that's something that Matt and I quote fairly often. And it was hilarious when he said it.
My favorite one of those tips or quotes from Michael, I'm not sure if it's from this season, is when he says, "We have a day honoring Martin Luther King Jr., and he didn't even work here."
Yeah, that's a good one.
Mine is the "Please God No" when he
Yeah.
sees Toby.
That's season
use that
5.
meme.
That's season
that is-
5.
what? That's season 5.
You're
Are you
ahead of the
sure?
game. Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's in Frame Toby.
Yeah,
comes back.
that's when he
Dang
comes back.
it.
Mhm.
Oh, am I on? Whatever. I put it on the wrong one. Whatever. I don't have one then.
Right.
That's all right.
Matt, what was yours?
This is the.
Are you just
stitious
going with
one.
me?
Yeah. Well, no, I wrote it down first.
We're like a couple.
I wrote this
we're
down
of
like
one
2 weeks
mind.
ago.
I think it's the visual of Meredith hitting Michael's car.
Yeah, that one's pretty.
There's so
I'll-
many.
I'll tell you what my most memorable was, because that's how I read it and that's what I
Okay.
wrote. It's disgusting, but for some reason I always remembered Meredith asking Jim to sign her cast.
Yeah.
And just like, oh,
I'll read it later.
yeah.
And
I
you realize
feel
he
just, like,
signs it
burned
as
into my.
he signs it John Krasinski very clearly.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He
Does
doesn't
he?
Yeah, he doesn't sign. It's one of the biggest. Like, you look closely, it's clearly a big like John and then a K and then a long last name. He doesn't sign it Jim Halpert.
Why are you looking so closely?
Yeah. Got a point.
Never
Rose
mind
Byrne.
where I look.
Brian?
That's pretty creepy, Brian.
Never mind where I look. That's not gonna hold up in court.
Yeah, no.
All right. Anything else? Anyone else? Gifts or memes from this season?
No, I obviously didn't understand the
Assignment.
question. The
Yeah,
assignment.
It's
Both.
okay. I originally didn't either, and then Matt's like, "No, it's memeable," and I'm like, "Are you sure?" I did the exact same response.
I'm trying to rack my brain so I can actually give an accurate answer for that final one now.
We'll
That's
make
what
sure
she
our
said.
seasons.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
That's in every season.
Yeah.
So there you go. Stay fit.
We'll make sure
I
our
did it.
season
But
6 and 7
that's a
crew knows this.
Is that a season 4 one?
It's all. It's all of them.
Because doesn't Pam go to art school? Is that
That's
she
season
goes into
5.
season 5.
Yep.
Because
Oh,
there
I've got
is the
one.
like that's what she said where she's
That's-
freaking out.
It's
That's
season
Kelly
exactly
saying,
what I was-
"Dwight, get out of my nook."
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's a good one. All right, Jeff, you got one.
No, for 5. I was saying I was racking my brain. I got
Oh.
one. I got one for season 5.
All
We're
right.
good.
Well, we can always start there with season 5.
All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's most memeable for season 5 because No is a great one. I had that as one of mine.
Yeah.
Another one that I put down was right in Lost when Ryan comes back and he's got his list of people that has wronged him, and then he's talking with Jim, and Jim like calls him out for his community service, and then it does the little talking head where he just writes the name silently and crosses it.
Mhm.
That's a great meme.
Yes, I agree.
I think also just the Save Bandit moment in was
Save Bandit. Love it.
Yeah, for me it was also that in that fire episode when and this is the moment where everything goes haywire, is when Andy goes, "The fire is shooting at us," and then everybody just boom. Yeah,
Because that one, there is no voice of reason. Even like, Jim is barricading the door with the copier along with Andy. Oscar is jumping into the ceiling. People who would normally be like, let's just calm down. They're, who the only person you ever see on a cell phone in that scene is?
Who?
Phyllis. And I guarantee she's not calling the cops. She's calling Bob Vance.
Oh, of course.
Oh, of course.
You're probably absolutely right. That's a great note. That's a great notice.
Mhm.
What you got, Tricia?
I have nothing.
You've got nothing.
She-
Here, you can steal this one
Nothing.
from the Golden Ticket episode. Oh, you can't read my writing, probably.
You're a boy.
I like the one where, like, Michael, after everything comes out with Dwight or whatever, that he actually had the idea and that Dwight was going to cover for him, is like, I don't even remember what the lead up was, but they're in that room and then he like slaps the table and goes, "Thank you." Like, and then does the zoom in on him.
when he gets the credit for it, but in a
Yeah.
negative way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say one that I honestly judge this based off of like what do we actually say in our real lives, and one I like is well, how the turntables. And I don't know, I feel like that sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
You just say
Good
it
choice.
wrong.
Good choice.
Since we're on season 5, oh, go ahead, Tricia. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh no.
No.
Just looking at my
Just
burned
look-
finger. Exciting.
Since we're on season 5, we all have the same best cold opener, right? Everyone has
Yeah.
the same
Oh,
one.
it's gotta be.
It's got to be the fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that one. Yeah,
That was the
Stress
best of
relief.
every single all the seasons.
Although another one that is pretty good is Kevin's chili on Casual Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor Kevin.
Kevin's
Yep.
chili is good. The No God No is good, and the Three Jokers are good, but they don't beat the fire drill.
Yeah.
Also,
that one's-
Dwight giving birth is also hilarious.
My cervix is ripening.
Yeah. Why is it so slippery? Babies are slippery, or however he says it. It's so
Yeah.
funny.
He says, "Why is it covered in butter? Newborns are slippery." And Michael's just like,
Yes.
"Oh
there you
yeah, that makes sense."
And then Dwight putting on his pants behind Michael is
All
so
the
funny
time.
too.
He doesn't have pants on so many times in this show.
No, on the
my
DVD,
gosh.
the menu when you first go into that disc, the first thing you see is Michael eating watermelon while Dwight putting pants on behind him.
Yeah.
What was the one that you said, Brian? There are 3 Jokers?
There's the Three Jokers where Kevin, Creed, and Dwight are all dressed as the Joker,
That's
and
right.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
in the Halloween episode.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, this season 5 had a lot better cold openers for sure. But
Yeah.
the fire is, to me, one of the best cold opens of any show ever. It's like right
Yeah,
up there
I
with the it's probably better, but the Brooklyn Nine-Nine Backstreet Boys, I Want It That Way
Yeah.
lineup singing, that one was a really good cold open too.
Well, the fire drill was the Super Bowl grab because that was the episode that aired after the Super Bowl that year.
Angie and I watched it in an emergency room because we're on a media fast before we went to Mardi Gras for a missions trip, and so we had these on our phone. And then when he came back, I had to go to the emergency room. So to kill the time, we're watching that.
Nice. I watched it at Wilbur's house with the youth group.
Nice. It's so good. That's such a great start. All right. I'll use that as a segue. We'll talk about best episode, which to me, best episode of this season would be Stress Relief. The fire is a big part of that, but the whole episode really just hit. And it was one of those hour episodes as well. But I just felt like it just kept delivering, and it gave like the whole CPR scene was really good. And another one, it wasn't on the same level as the fire of insanity, but it was another thing where this got out of hand really quick. And then the roast part of it was another great section of that episode. And to see Michael not be able to handle the roast, but like everyone else had really good jokes. And then when he comes back in, his jokes are actually pretty funny, even though they're supposed to be just bland roasts.
Mm-hmm.
All of it I felt like was really well done.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And I love it. For Andy, it's Andy, Cornell called, you sucked, and you're gayer than Oscar. My best episode also includes a presentation in the warehouse. I picked Crime Aid. Love that.
Crime Aid is a good episode.
Yeah. Crime reduces innocence, makes everyone angry, I declare. I always remember that. But another great moment in that one is when they find out what's going on and they're trying to compare who's worse. And Kevin's like, they took my surge protector. Oscar says, well, they took my laptop. It's like, Oscar, I'm going to be prone to surges.
I like the... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do like the episode Broke, because that's actually the birth of the How the Turntables Have Turned line.
Oh,
and
yes.
also, you get the bye-bye Charles Minor, because I hate that guy.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot of satisfaction in that one. That's when they finally got their actual win.
And Michael has a great moment in the conference room as he negotiates it. And you always love those Michael moments where he actually, does things well.
Yeah,
I think
that's his moment.
The first moment of that would be like the client where Jan realizes, hey, like Michael's good at his job. And this is another one of those moments. Like they don't do it too much, otherwise he wouldn't be Michael. But whenever it comes out, it's good.
Yeah, they do it just enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And it always has to do with sales. Like this wouldn't technically be sales, but you can make that argument that he's selling because he is technically selling, but he's selling his company and he's selling this idea and he has a spot of leverage in it.
Yeah.
I'll say that my favorite episode was customer service. I actually struggled a little bit to decide what my favorite episode was, because looking at all the episodes, I felt like they were all like fairly on par with one another. And I feel like season 4 had a ton of funny moments and funny content, but like anything that was so stand out to be a favorite wasn't so much there.
You mean season 5 had that?
In season 5, sorry, season 5. And I just decided that I love customer service because I love that whole scene where you have Jim and Dwight doing the phone calls with each other, and they're trying to get better at their jobs, and it just turns into this prank without even Michael realizing it. It's so funny. So that's why it wins my favorite episode.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's a good call.
Butt liquor. Prices have never been lower.
That is, yeah.
You'd never yell at the customer.
Yeah.
I would like to buy $1 million worth of products. But you have to fire the man I just wanted.
How seriously Michael takes that, even though he knows that Jim is just messing with him. He's like, but it's $1 million sale.
Oh, it's great. It's a great scene.
That is a good episode. What do you got, Tricia?
Which one is this for?
Season 5.
5. Okay. I had the Michael Scott Paper Company, and I had Michael and Holly. Period. Just.
For best best episode.
Storyline. Oh, sorry.
But now we know, so we'll get there next.
Here we go.
Maybe we should go with Matt's first, and then we'll go to Tricia.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I put dinner party and stress relief.
Oh yeah, stress relief.
Oh, stress relief for
yeah.
5. Yeah,
Stress relief was a good episode.
I think I'm tired, guys, and like I need to eat. But anyways,
we starve our guests before they come on.
That's true. You are not allowed to eat. Jeff, have you had dinner yet?
Yes, I have.
Oh, good for you. Good.
Yeah,
we're good. I didn't know with the timing. I'm like, I hope.
Yeah, no, we're good.
Perfect. All right. Best storyline. Let's jump to that. So you said Michael Scott Paper Company.
That's what my answer as well.
Yeah, I felt like
so great.
there was the two big storylines that drove the plot for this season, and there was the Andy and Angela for the first half, and then the second half was Michael Scott. And I thought the Paper Company was a good storyline.
I love that he was like, "Screw you, dude!" Like, I just really like that he hated being under that authority, and I don't know. I'm kind of a rebel, so I'm like, yeah, give it to him.
See Michael rejecting somebody is it feels like an anomaly. Even though he had done that with Jan, it still feels like out of character for him. So you really didn't see it coming that he was going to quit, and then especially what else is he going to do?
Yeah.
He's going to start his own paper company.
Yeah, it just is so great. And even the fact that he didn't know what he was going to do and then ended up quitting. He's like, yes, we'll have your party. No problem. He's being all amenable. And he's just like, no, screw it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Be
and
nicer to me.
I like the setup too that it was for Pam because they needed to
Yeah.
get Pam out of her role to make it seem like she would stay here a long time without feeling like she is compromising. You know, like that she needs to grow in her position. So
I think it's great. And then I think it's great that they grabbed Ryan too, even though I don't like Ryan as a character ever. But I just think it's great that they pull him out of this bowling alley and Pam's like, no, but yes, like.
But think if you didn't have him for that, it would not have worked.
Yeah.
I've always said that I think the Michael Scott Paper Company is the last time that Ryan should have been on the show, because after the Michael Scott Paper Company, Ryan has no point on the show anymore.
Oh, and they even say that. He's like, I don't even do anything. Like he has to pretend to be Kelly's supervisor.
Yeah.
He sits in the closet.
Yeah. At one point someone says
Holly Michael.
Yeah.
The Holly Michael story, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we get the bulk of it because she's introduced for one episode in season 4, but then we get
also
the 5.
you get that great moment in the car when he falls asleep and he's like,
And then I wonder if they always knew they were going to bring Holly back, because season 5 ends with Michael and Holly, broken up and Holly's gone.
Right.
Did they always know that they were going to bring her back in for Michael's endgame?
You should write the Office podcast again and see.
Maybe they'll actually answer me
it's this Brian guy again.
This time, try a very short email and see if you get anything that way.
They probably have him blocked.
Probably.
I wish
have
that they
multiple
would
email addresses.
I wish that they wouldn't have done that with Holly. I wish that they wouldn't have sent her away.
Yes.
I liked actually the dynamic that they had between him and Jan and him and Holly early on, where it's like he felt like, even though he shouldn't have, he felt some sort of obligation to Jan and the baby. And I think that could have been enough to be a conflict for him for longer without having to send Holly away. I don't know if Amy Ryan was busy on other things and just couldn't do a full season role, but I think that they should have kept her around.
Yeah. Because I don't think she was ever intended to be a series regular.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, didn't she get nominated for an Oscar for Gone Baby Gone? Am I mistaken? I know she was in Gone Baby Gone, but maybe she thought that her acting career was going to like take off a little bit during that time.
Maybe she's also in season 2 of The Wire. So this season had 2 of the actors from The Wire with Idris Elba later on. So I don't know if that was around that same time or not, but I think The Wire was maybe a little bit before that. I don't know.
So my best storyline, I actually chose Angela and Phyllis. I just found that entertaining.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And it was fun to see Angela put in her place for a while because she had been such a terror to the office. Dude. And also they made it very like kind of painful when it's like the whole office knows the secret, but then Andy doesn't. And I thought that was kind of a clever way to do that.
Especially in that moment where Phyllis yells it for everybody except for Andy, then Andy comes in and starts singing Christmas carols, and everybody's just awkwardly staring at him.
Sheesh, tough room.
Yeah, tough room.
That's good. All right. Worst storyline. Oh, actually, I didn't share something I had written because I also had the Paper Scott Company as the Paper Scott.
The Paper Scott.
Yeah. That was one of my best storylines, but I really did also like some of the stuff they did with David Wallace this season, specifically in
Nice.
Yes. See, it's the Michael Scott Paper Company. I have my own plaque.
Look at you. I like some of the stuff that they did with David Wallace this season, specifically in 2 episodes. That with the Crime Aid one, I really loved seeing this guy who didn't have to come to Scranton for this Crime Aid thing to support the Scranton branch, to offer up his weekend at his place in Martha's Vineyard, to bid on a hug for Phyllis, to just to have like that sort of gentleness. And like, it was a really great moment of a boss to do something he didn't have to do.
Yes. Yeah. But also, at the same time, David Wallace is a horrible judge of character because he selected Ryan for that leadership position. So
and then Charles.
Yeah.
And then
Jan.
And the other part of that too is
Jan was there before him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
Good call. Good. Look at you, Brian. Way to remember things. I also liked in the Michael Scott newspaper company no, the one right before that, when he quits, like that moment where David Wallace realizes that he hasn't been treating Michael the way he should be, and that like he kind of has been just treating him like a child, because you understand why he would. But for him to be like, all right, you know what? I'm going to make sure we can make this party happen. I'm going to be there. What can I do to make this right? And it was too little too late. But it was both those moments. I'm like, David Wallace, he is a good stand-up guy. He tries to do the right thing, even if he doesn't do it right the first time, each time.
I liked how he was so like open arms with Michael when he came in, like after the new company took over. I just think it's so great how he was so like, hello, I'm so happy to see you now that I don't have to hate you anymore.
We're getting ahead of ourselves, but man, that episode is great. There are a few things that would make me not want to work with David Wallace, and Suck It is one of them.
That was fun because you get to see such a professional man just be lost and kind of unhinged.
Kind of a similar moment we talked about when Michael was surprised that Ryan was happy to see him in Night Out. He was kind of surprised that David Wallace was happy to see him in that episode as well.
Yeah, he knows his role. All right, worst storyline. For me, it was Andy, Dwight, Angela triangle. I did like the duel. I like how they resolved it, but it was a season and a half of this storyline that probably should have only been maybe a half season.
Yeah.
So for me, this might be conflict. I don't know, but I feel like you guys are going to go with the one that I debated being the worst with the new boss. So I think I'm going to go with weight loss. And Matt loves the episode of weight loss, but
Worst storyline.
Oh, worst storyline.
Yes.
Oh, wait.
I hated that they had to lose weight.
Oh, shoot. Okay. Well, guys, we'll pause that for later. The worst storyline, baby shower for Jan.
Yeah.
It was pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some funny stuff that came from it, but
we didn't need to revisit Jan so quickly.
yes.
Yeah.
My worst storyline was everything about Pam becoming a salesman, which I think it just went nowhere because they really had a couple mentions, and after a while, when she came back to Dunder Mifflin, I forgot that she was still a salesman until the whole episode where she makes herself the office administrator.
Yes.
Oh, that was a much better storyline for her and a much better fit.
Yeah. And it was funny.
Yeah. How she sort of just like manipulates her way into that position.
Yeah.
For me, it was, and again, it's more of a love to hate kind of a thing, sort of like the Ryan being the boss. It was Charles Minor. The dude is just a douche. Like he's so, oh man, can't stand him.
It starts off where like you just get that he's like this no nonsense guy, and you're like, okay, that's fine. I can see how he'd clash, but then you see how he actually is a little petty, and how he is petty specifically against Jim, and that there's nothing Jim can do
to
undo that
especially when
impression.
you see it kind of realized or confirmed in that final the company picnic episode when they're doing the volleyball thing and how he's acting. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Mine was Charles Minor too. I mean, agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. All right. Where are we at? Worst episode. We've done episode, best cold open.
Well, I might as well start since I half went already.
She's got it.
I go with weight loss for worst episode purely because I hated the missed opportunity that was Jim's proposal.
Oh, I agree with you on that. That wasn't my choice, but that was such a lame proposal.
It was so lame. It ruined it for me because there are some moments in The Office where you're like, they totally missed a giant opportunity, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
Also, Michael like getting married or something, that would have been great too, But yeah, it's the lamest proposal ever, and it's Jim who makes every little present special, who is the sweetest, most thoughtful guy. Like, gas station, you can't hear anything. Like, it's raining. Oh, you didn't say the weather was bad. That sounds great. It's just painful. So that one is my worst because of that.
Yeah, I think that was the point of the gas station proposal, was because Jim is normally really thoughtful, but I agree with you.
Isn't
And
it because somebody actually proposed like that, like a part of the crew or something like that?
Yeah, they purposely recreated that proposal that someone had, and they like that gas station didn't exist. They built that gas station and stocked it with like just a little bit to make it look like it's a real thing.
And if you look closely, the same cars are driving in a circle around it.
Oh, I didn't notice these things, dude.
The detail, man.
Yeah.
Well, I don't notice a lot of these things. I listen to the Office Ladies podcast, and they notice these things.
Oh, okay.
Oh, see, fair. Brian, you had the chance. You could have gotten away with it. We wouldn't have known.
Very, attentive.
Except for the whole thing about Andy's desk, I noticed because they didn't mention that on their podcast.
That's fair. You still get the credit.
Yes,
it's impressive.
I told you outside of the podcast that I would fight back about this because that everything else in the episode was really good, but I do agree that the proposal's a missed opportunity. I just don't think you should take it out in the whole episode. There's much worse episodes this season.
I'm a woman. The proposal matters.
Yeah, my least favorite episode was Prince Family Paper, and it's only because, man, I feel so bad for those people because what happens to them later, and they're so nice, and they totally take advantage of them, and it just bothered me.
It's not fun to see Michael as a villain. No. Like the fair storyline too, which we'll get to when we talk about that. That's spoiler alert. That's probably the worst storyline of that season for me too.
Yeah.
But when they make Michael like be purposely a jerk, that's not him. That's not his character.
Yeah.
Yeah. My worst was Blood Drive. It just kind of seemed like a meh episode to me.
Wow, we're all across the board with this. Tricia, what do you got for worst episode?
Prince Family Paper.
Okay, a second vote for Prince Family because I had kind of two between of Casual Friday and Moroccan Christmas. Neither one did anything for me, and especially Moroccan Christmas.
That was actually my second one on my worst.
Yeah,
there you go.
It's absolutely the worst Christmas episode by far.
Because we missed a season 4 Christmas episode because of the writers' strikes. The one that we had before that was Benihana's Christmas, which was one of the best episodes of The Office, and even the second season Christmas episode was really good too.
Yeah,
so we have a history of good Christmas episodes, and then along comes Moroccan Christmas that turns into a Meredith intervention.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense that they would do something like that just because of Meredith's character, but I don't know. They could have gone better ways for a Christmas episode. They could have done that.
I love the Christmas episodes, but that is the one I watch them every year around Christmas. That is the one I skip.
Yeah. Agreed.
Completely fair. All right. So and then the other one, like I said, Casual Friday, them coming back and just like the tension between reconciliation and like, oh, we stole your clients and like just no one getting along, and that's not so much cringe, but it is like I don't want to be in this. I want to be like Jim and Creed and just sitting in the other room playing a game and just avoiding it and waiting for everything to settle itself out.
Yeah.
So that is it. Any other thoughts? Anything that we haven't mentioned about season 4 or 5 that deserves a mention or a shout out, even if it doesn't hit our list?
I will say that the coming out of the relationship for Jim and Pam in season 4 to me was also a missed opportunity. I think they could have done that better. It could have had more fun with it. So I've just been a little disappointed because there's so much lead up to their relationship. Like, again, like I was in college when we're watching this and watching big groups, and you're like freaking out when they finally kiss right at the season finale, and you're like, holy crap, they might actually be together. And then they take a season, right, where he's gone, and they're finally together after that torturous, like they could be dating, but he's dating Karen, and it just feels uneventful. And I wish that it was more of an
it also
event.
feels real though.
That's true, but you don't get to see anything. Oh, we've been dating for a few months. It's like you come in kind of after that.
Yes, I get that. Yeah.
Season 5, even though it had the proposal, was kind of like Jim and Pam's storyline kind of took a break so that they could do more with Michael that season.
Yeah, that's a good point. Which is an interesting choice.
Yeah,
and I have no problem with them like doing, because the Michael Holly storyline is really good, but then they also had that like once they brought Jim and Pam together, like, well, we got to split up Dwight and Angela, and that never recuperated until the end.
Yeah, I like that these seasons also gave little moments to appreciate the rest of the cast, like the whole Phyllis. Phyllis got her moment. Stanley got his "Did I stutter" moment. I forget. I was just going to give an example. Oh, like they got to see a little bit of Oscar and Andy when they went to Canada. They gave little moments to like, we're gonna show these guys not just in the background all the time, or like Kevin with
Yeah.
Holly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that these are really good seasons for like what brings the heart to the show.
Mm.
Because in later seasons, it gets kind of painful without Michael there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like this is the times that Andy is talking about in the final episode where he's like, I wish you knew it was the good old days when you were in them. To me, these are the good old days seasons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Well
3 to
said.
6 or something like that. Somewhere in there.
Yes, 3 to 6, absolutely.
Yep. So once next week, in a couple weeks, when we're talking about season 6 and 7, we're getting into the tail dive. Gosh, they stopped like knowing how to end seasons too. Like the one episode season finale where it's like, oh, the printers are catching on fire. Everyone, David Wall leaked it to the press. Okay, that's the end. Like that's a terrible season finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so this
Also-
Goodbye Toby was like the peak for season finales, and then
It
everything
was.
after
Yeah, it was pretty good.
it's gone downhill. All right, let's jump into trivia.
So last week we talked about the character type of the strong, independent women on TV, and all 3 of my picks had a either significant other or former significant other that in real life that appeared on their show. So I talked about Lorelai Gilmore from Gilmore Girls. So Lauren Graham in real life dated Peter Krause, who played her brother on Parenthood, and he was in the Gilmore Girls revival as one of the tour guides. Then I talked about Roseanne from Roseanne, who obviously her ex-husband Tom Arnold was a recurring character on the show. And I talked about Leslie Knope, who played by Amy Poehler on Parks and Rec, and her ex-husband, I think they were married at the time, Will Arnett, played the creepy MRI technician that she dated in an episode.
Amy Poehler was also on a couple episodes of Arrested Development with Will Arnett too.
Oh, it's right.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so let's go trivia for this week. What do you got?
So in the season 5 finale, Company Picnic, when Jim and Pam are at the hospital and they find out that they're pregnant, what is significant about the filming location of the hospital where they find out that Pam's pregnant?
Oh, that's where they find out that Pam's pregnant. That's what's significant about it.
Oh, yes.
They
That's
filmed
the
that scene there. Do I win? What do I get?
You get nothing.
You lose, sir. Good day. All right. Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have Jeff and Angie and Tricia on. And this time we got them all together at once. It was great. So thanks so much, guys. We love having you here. We'll have you back sometime again. And
Awesome.
it'll be good.
And the next time we talk about The Office, we'll be talking to Mike, Brandon, and Tammy.
There you go. So until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
I'm Tricia.
I'm Angie.
And I'm Jeff.
I'm reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.